Okay, I think we are live and we have everyone joining us today. So good evening, everyone. I'm Anandita. We have Ashfaq joining us today. Thank you so much for joining today's session, webinar, info session, whatever you want to call it. I will very briefly talk about the two of us, why we are here today, why we are chatting, what is it that we want to cover through this 30-minute session. Do feel free to engage as much as possible throughout the session. I know it seems like we're all here and chatting unilaterally, but we would be really, really happy if you could go onto your chats, talk about yourself, talk about any specific things that you would want us to discuss, and we would be more than happy and willing to take those things up. Very, very quickly running through what is upGrad, why we are doing this. Most of you must already know what upGrad is an online education platform. We've been in the market for about 4 years now. We build multiple programs in collaboration with employers, in collaboration with universities, and bring those to you so that you can go through the program from the comfort of your home and succeed in your career. That's the basic one-line job of what we are doing here at upGrad. I'm very, very happy to have Ashfaq here with us.
Hi, everybody.
Everyone happy, to have him on board. Just a very, very quick introduction of Ashfaq. He's the co-founder and member of board at Fazlani Academy, which is basically a pioneer in placement before admissions model of management programs. And we will talk about what that means. We will talk about why he went through and created a program like this as we speak during the course of it. But the important thing is he's got a lot of experience when it comes to people management, HR. He's hired over 50,000 graduates in his lifetime, 18 years of experience in different industries, including IT, banking, hospitality, KPOs, just to name a few. So I very, very quickly introduced Ashfaq, and we will get to hear a lot more from him as we go through the session. Welcome, Ashfaq.
Thank you very much.
Have a good time talking to a lot of students who are contemplating management education right now.
Absolutely. I'll be glad to help them as much as I can.
So very, very quickly, what we're going to do and how we're going to run the next 1 hour is, firstly, the reason why we are here today, we are here to announce that we are very proud and very happy to launch our new program, which is the Job Linked Management Program, where you get a PGP from IMT Ghaziabad. So that's the key context. But before we get to that, I think the main thing that we want to discuss today is how does the management landscape look like, specifically for freshers in the market. What are the key challenges that they face? What are the things that they must keep in mind when they are, trying to choose between so many options available in the market right now? And what is it that they should focus on, not get distracted? So very, very quickly, we will start with that. We'll start with discussing how does this entire management landscape look like today for every fresher, everybody who are in their first job, second jobs, trying to figure out a management program for them. And I'll let Ashfaq take a lead on that and start with that.
All right. Thank you very much, Anandita. I think you didn't give your introduction, Anandita. We need to know you as well, right? Isn't it? Why don't you give a quick 1-minute intro and then probably I'll take it forward.
Right. So I've been working with upGrad for about 3 years now. I lead a business vertical at upGrad called upGrad Academies, which basically caters to freshers and first-time job seekers in the market. All of you who joined us today in our small chat. We build different types of programs in association with employers, in associations with the likes of IMT Ghaziabad, so reputed universities, so that we can try and solve some of the problems that most of you go through once you're out of college, trying to decide what career to choose, which program to choose, what management education to go for. So that's my bit here at upGrad, and I hope that helps set context on why I'm launching this program with all of you. Thank you so much, Ashfaq, for letting me do this. But yeah, I mean, it's all about you. It's all about management education.
Right now. Thank you very much, Anandita. And first of all, thank you, upGrad, to invite me to do a little bit of what I've been doing for the last 8-10 years. And I'm very happy that a lot of students, that's what I get to understand, have logged on to this call to understand what can they do with their management courses and curriculums and things like that. I would have conducted, I don't know, zillions of seminars, zillions of them, but it was always face to face. वो बंदे की शक्ल दिख रही है ना, you understand whether that child is liking the seminar or not. So you pace your conversation based on the body language. But I'm actually learning myself how to give a webinar when I'm actually just seeing my face on the other side, and probably on the other side I have got Anandita probably acknowledging कि कोई सुन रहा है मेरी बात. Okay, so I first of all fundamentally believe that आज के बच्चे are smart enough. They have done all their necessary homework. They have this Google with which they actually do everything possible to figure out what is best for them, what is second best, what is third best, what is fourth best in life. So I really don't want to say that I'm the guru in giving some gyan, because आज के बच्चे already guru बन के आए हुए हैं. But what I have figured out, जो आजकल के बच्चों में, and don't get me wrong, guys, the amount of मेहनत or the amount of hard work that you need to put behind the passion that you have is somewhere, where a lot of effort needs to go. So let's start with this. I don't want to do a poll or something like that. If we ask somebody which are the best management schools in this country, the answer is they are all IIMs, and I think that would be fabulous, including tier A institutions like what you just mentioned, IMT Ghaziabad. I think they're fabulous. कोई debate ही नहीं है. तो part 1 इधर हो गया. Then there is a part 2 where the बच्चा says, sir, पर मैं CAT तो clear नहीं कर पाऊंगा. So what is the second best option for me? So of course there is a tier 2 institution, and that list also goes fairly long. Yeah, there is where the intelligence comes to figure out कि कौन सा अच्छा college है, कौन सा उतना अच्छा college नहीं. Probably during the course of this session we'll talk about little bit of 2-3 छोटा practical tips that I have figured out to find the college अच्छा है कि बुरा है, kind of a thing. So that's the second part. And the third part, which I think is emerging, and probably this part may become stronger than the first two parts, is this entire world of online education, and probably now opening up of the education edtech sector, and probably coming up of these online programs and things like that. So basically the landscape is very, very clear and known to the whole logical, let's say the janta out there, everybody knows it. But then there's अच्छा कितने लोग entrance में बैठेंगे CAT के, और 2 लाख कितनों को मिलेगा 20,000. अरे यार मैं शायद 20,000 में नहीं आऊंगा. And that's when the students are looking for option B, option C, and option D, whatever it is. All right. So in my mind, if I have to give a sincere advice to anybody, if you are pursuing a management program, do your best, try to get into the top 20,000 ranks in the country. Go through that rigmarole of giving the CAT, prepare very, very hard for it. I have done it, so it is not difficult. And I must tell you that I'm not probably the most intelligent guy on planet Earth. I was a fairly average, बोलने में अच्छा भी नहीं लग रहा, 67% marks in 10th and probably 72 or something in graduation, but फिर भी कर लिया ढंग का. It's really not that. It's, I fundamentally believe if today is the day that you get excited कि मुझे कुछ करना है, तो just get started. All right, and then you have enough time. You will be able to crack it. That's part number 1. Point number 2 is, if there is the second spectrum, which is if it is not the top 20,000, top 25,000, then next what? Then there is a big ocean, and this is the ocean I fundamentally believe children have to actually walk that space extremely carefully. I'll give you an example. आज कोई college नहीं बता रहा. You open a college, whether it is a tier A or tier B, C, D, whatever, everybody will say ICICI Bank हमारे यहाँ आता है. In their brochure, no, you can see the companies. And for sake of discussion, I used to be the talent acquisition head for Sintel. I have gone to engineering colleges where we had never gone, and I just walk in and I see on their board our recruiter Sintel. I was like, कैसे हो सकता है? मैं तो यहाँ कभी आया ही नहीं हूँ, kind of thing, right? So for sake of discussion, किसी बच्चे को खुद भी Sintel में job लग गई, तो company college वाले उसका logo डाल देते हैं. So it is extremely important to figure out where the genuine placements are happening or not happening. That's the first part. I mean, we keep on, looking at this data, इधर इतनी placement मिल गई, उतनी placement मिल गई. But I think it's, हम लोगों ने इसका आनंदिता ने एक छोटा test रखा है. I keep on telling students, अगर सच में फिगर आउट करना कि इस कॉलेज में कितनी प्लेसमेंट है, टपरी पे चले जाना. सारे बच्चे लंच ब्रेक में या व्हाटएवर, व्हेनेवर दे गेट ब्रेक्स, दे आर एट द टपरी है सिपिंग कॉफी, एंड टेल देम पिछले साल के सीनियर्स का प्लेसमेंट रिकॉर्ड कैसा था. दैट्स द बेस्ट ब्रोशर. You will get to know the reality out there. So that's probably what I keep on saying, that first figure out whichever colleges you choose. Our basic agenda is किसी college का हमने 1100-1500 रुपए form भरा, we got the brochure. The minute you open brochure, probably you're not realizing the best branding company in the city has made it. The best marketing collateral is in your hand. So it is out to lure you, right? what is important is start having the ability of going inside that brochure, which means start reading the data and start making a different sense of it. Like for example, I hate this number, but I see most of the colleges using this. Hamara average placement has been 7 lakhs this year. So, and believe me, I heard one audio today, of some college. I'm not going to name it, but just like that. And this lady says that the highest placement was 14 lakhs and our average placement was 7 lakhs, which means if I say that if there are two people, somebody has got 14 lakhs and somebody has got 2 lakhs, you made 16 lakhs, your average is still 8 lakhs. Average 8 lakhs sounds exciting. The 14 lakhs also sounds exciting. What about the 2 lakh wala bacha? उसने MBA किया ही क्यों at the first place, right? And probably the cost of that institute could be 10-12 lakh rupees on the investment that you would have made onto the program. So what is important is to also understand. Don't tell me the day an institute tells you कि minimum इतना मिले, now you know whether this is a good deal for you to make or not a good deal for you to make. But generally these colleges don't say that. And then there is this another interesting fact that I have seen is if there are 100 students studying in the college, they'll debar 20 out of placements. तो बच्चे 80 को place कर देते हैं. उसमें से 10 बोलेंगे हमको लेना नहीं कि उनको डैडी के बिजनेस को ज्वाइन है. तो 70 का प्लेसमेंट होता, उन 70 में दिल से 80% प्लेसमेंट हो गया. Actually 56 बच्चे प्लेस हो गए if this is the mathematics if you have to look at it. So all I'm trying to say is the landscape is really, really already clear. Option number one, tier one institutes are fairly well known to you, so it's easy. So there's not much to worry about. Just crack the CAT. And the second best option is if you go for the number two kind of institutes, be very careful of these things. What type of courses they have, what type of placements they have, and go beyond the brochure. That's what I would leave my thoughts at right now.
Right, and that's really helpful, Ashfaq, because I think it's very important, especially in today's times, to understand the ROI of wherever you're putting in your investment. And education is an investment, but you should very carefully evaluate before investing what is it that you are most likely to get out of that particular investment. And I think that's one of the problems that most freshers face right now. There are so many options, so many opportunities, so many people saying so many things. I hope that to everyone listening to this specifically, I hope that Ashfaq's approach on not just going by what you see, but also trying to double check it with a person that you can possibly speak to in that college, to an alumni who can literally walk you through, like, this is how the experience is going to look like. When the day of placement comes, this is how it's going to look like. These many candidates go to here. These are where our alums are placed. So having that in mind when you're investing is really, really important. I would also want to talk about two more things, which is how to, as a fresher specifically, I think a lot of freshers struggle to figure out, they're out of their undergrad, they want to figure out what is it that they are good at, what are their strengths. How do they excel or in these strengths? How do they identify their strengths, first of all, and gain expertise in it? Will bookish knowledge be sufficient? Will they have to do something else? So if I were to just talk about and summarize, the conversation, I would really want, Ashwag, you can also talk about this particular piece on how do I identify my strength as a fresher. I've been doing something very, very different so far. But now I want to do management. Now I want to understand what I'm good at. So we need to solve for that as well. So you have to just talk about the three things that particularly a fresher could talk about. One very beautifully, explained by you is the first and foremost thing, which is the ROI of where you're going to invest. What is it that you're going to get? The second one, in my opinion, would also be how do I identify what I'm good at? And the third one would be what is it that I do to become really, really good at it and make that my career? And those are the three things that I think everybody struggles with. And we want to talk about specifically about each of these things also in detail. Specifically, if I talk about every fresher who wants to start their first jobs. And I know because I was there when I had to decide what my first job should be, how much I fretted, how much I, decided, double decided, went back, understood, and then eventually, I think what I'm doing right now is nowhere related to what I started off my career with. So I had to take my own journey make a couple of pivots, figure out what I'm really good at, what I really enjoy doing. And then when I look back and I see, oh my God, but I put in so much thought in taking up that first job. I think that is one thing that all of us go through. And it's not something that we can change, but we also need to acknowledge and identify that it's a part and parcel. It's not the end of the world. You need to understand what's your first job should be. You need to understand what you at the end of the day in terms of your first job. But the most important part there is to understand how to be good at it. If you're not good at it, you will never be able to identify whether you like doing it or not, because you've always put in half-baked effort to, understand that in the first place. So that's one thing. And I would also want Ashfaq to share his experiences specifically when it comes to first jobs and pivots and identifying the key strengths for every fresher out there.
Anandita, can you hear me? All right.
Yeah.
I'll probably give you my first experience of my first job. I was campus placed in ICICI Bank, and I'm talking about 1999. And I actually had 4 offers. So we had a massive campus drive on the day one of our, we call it the day 0 during those days. So I got selected in 4 companies. One of them was the Tata company, one was with Birla, one was the L&T, and one was ICICI Bank. And I pick up my phone and call up my parents back home and say, I got 4 jobs, which one should I take? And my dad was like, which one do you like the most? I said, I think all of them are great companies. There's no debate about that. But ये जो ICICI वालों ने जो मेरा इंटरव्यू लिया ना, उसमें बड़ा मजा आया है. तो I really don't know. मुझे ये लोग बहुत अच्छे लगे, kind of a thing. So honestly, the bank became was kind of 1997, I think, if I'm not wrong, 1997 or 96, the bank got started, because it was a ICICI is pretty old, but ICICI Bank got started in 1997. So my parents were saying, "Kaun sa bank? तो सुना ही नहीं है," kind of a thing, I'm talking about 99 now. That everybody knows about ICICI Bank. So ये तो सुना ही नहीं है, kind of a thing. And I said, no, but kind of the interview they took, they want me to groom in. They're going to put me for the first 6 months in banking, make me learn how banking works before I'm going to put what I'm going to join them for. I'm actually professionally I was an HR qualified, so HR बाद में सिखाएंगे. First they want me to learn banking. I thought, and I thought it's very, very wise that I take up that. So finally I ended up taking ICICI Bank. And believe me, what you rightly mentioned is when we are sitting in the campus, जो हमारी thought process होती है कि मैं जाऊँगा, मेरा day 1 ऐसा होगा, वैसा होगा, corner में environment that these big companies offer you in terms of teaching, the learning experience. I think overall, all of that spanned out very well. But in the entire conversation, I figured out that when we hire lateral people in the industry, suppose if I have to hire a senior manager, including in ICICI Bank, I will use a psychometric test. I'll use something called as we used to use something called as OPQ, Occupational Personality Questionnaire. It's a SHL's product. You would actually see ये बंदे की interests क्या है. So it was like, it always hits my mind that we are not using those kind of tests at fresher level, where we should put them through some psychometric tests and figure out whether this bacha is actually good for the subject or not. Let me give you an example. I mean, we all know that movie when our man wanted to become an photographer, wildlife photographer, and unfortunately his parents wanted to become engineers. I think largely we are still driven by that format. But I think there are tons of psychometric tests available right now. There's a Metal Mercer test, there's a Prism brain mapping test. Go ahead, take one of those tests. You will exactly know what you are very, very good at. Now, presuming if you are good at, for sake of discussion, extreme amount of creativity, then probably my answer for you is, why are you not looking at something more to do with a creative school rather than kind of getting into MBA, because MBA is the flavor of the day, and some IM says कि 1 crore 15 lakh की fresher को job मिल गई. वो exceptions के basis पे पूरी दुनिया पीछे पड़ जाती है, kind of a thing, right? So these are all exceptions, right? First, figure out what are you very good at. So that's, I would wisely tell everybody, those tests cost you hardly 1,500 or something like that. Invest the 1,500 to figure out, are you really cut out for it at the first place. Now, after you've gone through the test, you will also get to realize these are areas that you love. and these are the areas you don't like. So for sake of discussion, we would actually say that whether this guy has got some serious intention in terms of, is he analytical, then we would try to give him roles more to do with finance. If he is a relationship oriented guy, has that, usko ek kursi pe nahi bitha sakte ho, I think he's a good guy for sales and marketing, that kind of an environment. So we actually help customize students the careers based on psychometric tests, more on their choices rather than having passed an examination, because you were able to solve a question 2244 into 333 into in some 2.5 second kind of a thing, right? So we made it more of an inclusive selection based test rather than an elimination based test. So I think this one will give them a view whether they are at the first place, should be doing it or not. That's one. Two, the second part that I have figured out is probably I'm talking about 1999, and probably a 1979 guy will also say the same. MBA में मिला मुलूकर 4 specializations होती है: finance, marketing, HR, operations. Okay. And somewhere in 2000 2001 के आसपास, it became weird. Now there is MBA in event management, now there is an MBA in tourism management, MBA in something like that. So I probably feel that instead of going with the flavor of the day, look at where the future is. Like, for sake of discussion, if let's say digital marketing has been a lot of in things, so if there is an MBA program, and that's what Anandita, I heard from you saying that IMT is offering a digital marketing program for these guys. So if it's an MBA with the digital marketing super specialization, I think it's a great value addition. If it's an MBA with a super specialization into data sciences, data analytics, I think it's a great program to look after. So from my point of view, there are two criteria. One is do self-evaluation, and two, using psychometrics, and two, probably start choosing specialization that you really will thrive very well, and corroborate the two, the psychometric score and the futuristic programs. So I think these two would be my viewpoints to tell students to look at, whether I should get into MBA at the first place.
Great. So if I were to just summarize that for everyone as well. So a couple of things, right? One, the first thing that we spoke about, which was understanding very, very clearly what the ROI that a program should offer. Second, Ashwag did mention about some sort of psychometrics test, some way of identifying what your strength is, and then building on top of it. I think these are the three things that one should definitely look for when they are looking to take up any management program as a fresher or otherwise as well. I think it applies for everybody across. But when we look around, most of the psychometric tests, for example, the first time I took my psychometric test, I think it was a couple of years back or 2 years back. By that time, I had already made 2 mistakes, joined different companies, liked, not liked, figured whether this is really something that I wanted to do, and then already started doing that. It was too late for me, to identify, like, this is what I like doing, this is what I'm good at, this is how I should study, the field of marketing or whatever. I think those are things that, and I'll talk about the IMT program that we are, the program that we're launching today. I'll talk about that as well in detail, and how that this particular program tries to solve for all of these problems, specifically for a fresher who's evaluating a management career. And the first thing that I want to start by talking about is, not just today, but in any day, the first thing and the foremost thing that everybody has to keep in mind is ROIs. And that was the first thing that we also, that was a school of thought for us as well. We realized very, very well that as a fresher who's just graduated or are in their first or second jobs, trying to figure out how to navigate their ways in the field of management, it is very important for them to very clearly see a pathway to their next income. And not just any pathway, but very clearly charted out and scientifically, drawn out for them. Is why what we've done with this particular program, let me just tell you about the program. It is an 18-month job link management program, which gives you a PGP from IIT Ghaziabad. In this 18-month long program, 7 months towards the end of the program has been dedicated to internships, which is basically going to be a paid internship. You're going to be making money during the course of the program itself. And that's just one part of the program. The second part is when you take up the program, like Ashfaq mentioned, taking you through some sort of a test to identify what you're good at is very, very critical. So the first step, even before you get into the program, is that we take you through that psychometric test. We want you to spend that time and think about what you're good at, what is it that you really enjoy doing, and accordingly put you in different specializations that we offer during the course of the program. And the third very, very important part is it comes with a very, very clear ROI at the end of it, right? Because we're saying that, look, I am so certain that I can essentially promise a job to you at the end of the program, because that's how much you're going to study, not just the curriculum from IMT Ghaziabad, but a lot more built on top of it by upGrad in collaboration with actual practitioners, that we're telling you that if you successfully complete the program and you don't end up getting a job, there's a money back guarantee associated with it. So that's the entire structure of the program, and I will try to answer as many questions as possible as we go through the course of the webinar as well. So feel free to post as many questions that you have about the selection process of the program, about how long the program is going to run, any other questions that you might have. We will try to answer all of that. But yeah, I mean, moving back to the discussion, specifically in the fact that in today's day and age, I don't think we are in that zone that undergrad kar liya, postgrad kar liya, job kar liya, that is how it is. I mean, learning has very, very critically become a lifelong experience. You have to keep learning, whether you've just done your undergrad or postgrad, you have to, continue doing that. And it's not just restricted to books. It's not just you looking at, a series of videos, reading a couple of books, and that gives, all the learning that you require. I'll tie it back to how we've kind of solved for this through the program, but also, Ashwag, because you have seen so many people as somebody who's been in the people management function, how do you think that the quality of candidates that you've been getting through different programs versus the kind of level at which they should be performing? Have you seen any gaps there? And do you feel that it's primarily because students stop investing in this learning once they start working? And what are your thoughts and opinions on that specifically?
So very rightly, Anandita, first of all, I don't want to go anywhere else. What I studied in my management program and what I ended up doing in ICSF Bank weren't even talking to each other. So there is a first fundamental divide or fundamental gap as to whether colleges and the academia, the academia and the corporates are talking to each other at the first level or not. As I was understanding from your discussion previous to this call, that here the academia and the IMT team and upGrad team is putting together the content. It's actually trying to make it as practical as possible for the child as soon as he joins the corporate environment to make it successful. Now, I fundamentally believe that education is lifelong, and if I say that I've learned everything today, the answer is no. For sake of discussion, actually, I'm going through my PhD right now, and if everything goes right, I should have been a PhD by now. Thanks to coronavirus, I'm sitting at home, not able to submit my thesis. But education is lifelong. It is not one time, and you can keep on upskilling yourself. Like, for sake of discussion, during my days, there was nothing called digital marketing, there was nothing called data science, there's nothing called this cyber security and things like that. And now those things have picked up extremely well. And by the way, there was no webinar as well, and there was no Zoom and YouTube for sake of discussion. So a lot of things are coming up, and a lot of things will keep on coming up. I also probably want to give this message to all of you: don't get bogged down with what's happening right now. Probably as youngsters, you might be seeing the first recession. Believe me, I am a 76 born. मैं 4 देख चुका हूँ, so big deal. We've already seen 4, so just yet another one kind of a thing. And probably from 2000 to 2020, in the last 20 years, 3 have already gone by. There was a dot-com bust in 2000. Then there was the Lehman Brothers, the subprime crisis 2008, and now this is the third one. So we've been going through it so many times now. It doesn't matter, right? Of course, but yeah, Anido. But what it also means is, are you really right now investing in ensuring that how the future is going to shape up? Are you investing in that right now? I think, one of the fabulous things that has happened during these times is, I would have done a couple of webinars before that also. The number of students logging onto webinar to listen, to figure out कि मुझे क्या करना चाहिए, that itself is exciting to me. In our good old avatar, we used to go to colleges and say, hey, listen, I'm going to tell you what you should be doing. And now I'm saying that I'm sitting at home and people are coming and they want to know what they really should be doing at these hours. So from that point of view, the awakeness is there, and you guys are probably more tech savvy than we were during our days. So that's the good news, and there are options, and and then there is Anandita Singh. There is an IMT Ghaziabad program getting launched, which is probably one of the best schools where you get the best school, you get a 7-month long internship. That itself is great. I did my internship with Pepsi, which lasted for 2 months, and nothing wrong about it. But 15 दिन लगते हैं समझने में Pepsi करता क्या है. 15 दिन ये समझ में नहीं लगता कि मुझे क्या करना है यहाँ पर. Next 15 days you start working, then you say अब क्या यार अब तो निकलना आपका कोई internship में ज़्यादा जान लगानी. So I actually doubt whether that 2 months is good, great, ugly, good, but 7 months is kudos to you, Anandita and team. I think you made it a theoretically, I would say, I ask people, is MBA a practical program or a theoretical program? In reality, it should be a practical program, but in a 2-year MBA program, I did 2 months of practical. It's 22 months classes and 2 months of practical. So I feel this model makes a lot of sense to me, where you have this extended 7 months internship and things like that. It makes the program more practical. Rest, as you join companies, believe me, you keep on changing. So I give you my background. I started with ICICI Bank. I became the HR leader for North India for iBank. Then I went to GE, went outside of this country. Then I came back to Sintel, worked in IT. So first was bank, second was, I don't know, GE has so many businesses, the conglomerate. And then the third company was completely IT. My fourth was Hutchison Whampoa, where I was leading HR, which is completely a telecom kind of a company. It's Hutchison 3G. And for the last 9 years, I'm an entrepreneur doing some teaching, education, things like that. So I've changed 6 sectors, and probably by now I have probably also forgotten HR, because now I'm managing education and spending time with younger community and helping them to achieve their goals. So life will keep on evolving, and life will keep on growing up and up and up. I think the right college is which gives you the first good job, which should be at some nice level. Like, for example, I keep on giving these examples so that you learn. In ICICI Bank, we would go to an IIM Ahmedabad and hire a student. We'll go to a Narsi Monji, a Symbiosis, and get students. We will go to some Chota Mota Institute also, and but probably we'll go to some Ghanshyam Das also types, क्योंकि अपने को credit card भी बेचना है, SIM card भी, current account भी बेचना. So we need people at all the levels. But which level are you joining a company is probably what matters more. So if you're joining as an officer, senior officer, in my mind, it's not even an MBA. But क्योंकि दुनिया भर के MBA बच्चों को job नहीं मिल रही, चलो ले लो यहाँ से kind of a thing. So it is very important that you figure out whether you're getting into that management trainee band. Is it a management trainee making you an assistant manager, or is it an entry level management job or things like that? उन चीजों का भी एक extra ख्याल रखो, because getting the right pedestal is very, very important. Anandita has been saying on this return on investment for quite some time, and I was reserving my comments for a very good reason, because actually people don't even know what is return on investment. If it is कि मैंने 5 लाख का कोर्स किया और मुझे 5 लाख रुपए मिल गए, is it a good ROI? Theoretically, yes, but you need to know वो 5 लाख दिखता कैसा है. If it is 2.5 lakhs fixed salary and 2.5 lakhs variable, तो भाई वो मिलती नहीं है. The variable is, the ROI is only in my nazar half, right? The other model is that probably you got a 5 lakh salary where 4.2 is fixed and only 80,000 is variable. The chances are your ROI is much better. This is one example. Okay. Second example is probably you paid a 20 lakh rupees fees and you got a 12 lakh rupee job. It's still a great ROI, because you started at that 12 lakh kind of a category. A 10% increment will mean 1.2 lakhs next year more, vis-a-vis paying a 1 lakh rupees to a course and getting a 1.5 lakh rupee job. A 10% will mean 15,000 whatever kind of thing. So it is also important to know at what level you intend to calculate the ROI onto your program. So just kind of summarizing 2 thoughts in this. ROI is extremely important. Figure that out, which program you're getting into, and Anandita, I'd be very happy to know what kind of ROI is your IMT Ghaziabad providing. If that is a question that I can ask to you, kind of counter question type. And the second point is that just start your career, get into a great company to begin with. In due course of time, you'll change your based on your interest. You can keep on molding. You're like a river, है ना, दरिया है, रास्ता बनते ही जाएगा as you keep on going. Over to you, Anandita.
Yeah, so if I were to just try and tie it back to the program, and I share if this makes sense to you as well as a program. So there are three things that came out to me specifically from your conversation. One was the career very specifically. Second was curriculum, and third was ROI. ROI we've been discussing for a very long time. Curriculum specifically, you mentioned that one part is theory, which is what most of the people around us are focusing on, with very, very little part of actual experiential learning happening. So we realized this, and the way we decided, to try and find our own solution to it is if we look at the current curriculum of this particular job-linked management program with PGP from IMT Ghaziabad, you can see that a lot of about 80% of the content that gets delivered on a weekly level is over and above the theoretical IMT Ghaziabad content. So it's really linked back to employability, how much more employable you can end up becoming. How can we add as many practical experiences, not just from people who've actually done it in different companies, in the past, get you FaceTime with them. So we have this section where we help you meet CXOs, talk to them, interact with them, because a lot of times the learning is not just books, but if I look at a CXO talking and if I get to interact with them, there's so much that their experience has which can help you learn. So we've got a lot of these sort of components built over and above, and it's actually a larger chunk. So if I look at the entire 100% content anyone would consume, 80% of it would be this employability linked content, which is basically trying to figure out an experiential way of learning, giving them problems to solve, case studies to work on alone, with groups. So all of that. So that's one way we have solved for the curriculum. And because of this reason, the career part automatically solves for itself, because now when I have all these candidates who are really, really focused on experiential practical learning and they appear for interviews, the kind of learning and confidence that they can showcase is of another level. So it makes sense for organizations interviewing them to have candidates who can start performing from day one. Another thing that you mentioned, and that a 2-month internship, I think most of the interns try and just understand, okay, what is happening. Till now, I was in a classroom, life was easy. I was just trying to get through my papers and just get through this. Suddenly, I'm in this corporate setup where I have to, perform. I have a team, I have a manager, I have KRAs. What does all this mean? What is my company actually doing? What am I supposed to? I think that takes a good lot of every intern's time. And thus, even the company does not build for it. For a company, intern is like, ठीक है, ये आएगा, शायद कुछ कर लिया तो अच्छा, नहीं किया तो that's also fine. So that's how even companies look at it. That's the reason why I think for any company to derive value out of anybody's internship, and for anybody to derive value out of their internships, it was very important that they spend a considerable amount of term in that organization. So the 7-month internship that we've kept at the end of it is specifically to solve for that problem. And then you gradually get into the job mode also. So after the 7 months is when you start your full-time job at the organization. You're already aware of everything. You already know the people. You already know the function. You already know what you're doing, what your goal and this organization is. You clearly have a path of how you want to grow, how much time you want to spend. So all of that is already there on day one. And that benefits not just the organization, but of course for a student, it's a very, very plus. It's a big plus. And the third part on ROIs, which the way we have tried to solve, and I hope that it makes sense for a lot of students as well, is that we're saying that, look, of course, during the course of 18 months, 7 months is a paid internship. So you're going to get anywhere starting a floor of earn about 70,000 to 1 lakh in this period of time during the course of your management program. So that's just one way of understanding how much you're getting back from the program. But also the fact that, look, because we have spent so much thought process in building this curriculum, in building an employable, outcome out of every candidate, we are going out of the way and we're promising careers to our candidates. So we are saying that, look, you have 6 months of duration in the program. During these 6 months, we'll train you not just on the content, but a lot more in terms of employability that you bring onto the table right now. And we are damn sure that we'll place you. If you successfully follow to the T everything that we're trying to teach, we are damn sure that you'll get placed, you'll get an internship, and you'll get a job. And if that does not happen, a majority chunk of the fee, we give it back to you. So that's how sure we are.
I think that's a very, very bold statement to make. I've been running institutes institutions for some time. I still don't have the confidence of saying कि अगर तुमको end में placement नहीं मिला तो पैसे वापस लेने ना, but that's a very bold statement. I think one thought I picked up, Anandita, it's fabulous. I studied for first year general management, and then they sent me for internship. Technically, I went to do an internship in Pepsi in HR. जब मैंने HR पढ़ा ही नहीं था technically, right? So you are figuring out that thing also. ये जो आपने what you said, the entire 6-7 months is loaded at the end of the program. So you know the content, you know how it is done, and now you're doing the practical. I think that makes a very wise opportunity for the student.
Yeah, and the way we are also deciding who goes where is not random. Not oh मुझे चाचा के लड़के ने बोला था कि marketing कर लो मजा आएगा. Is not how we want to run this. Also, we're very sure that look, it has to be structured. There has to be some science behind it. We need to appear for a couple of tests. We want to understand you. We want to talk to you once before you choose that specialization, because at the end of the day, if it is my job to ensure that we're building your career, it is also my job to understand what you're good at, right? So that's how people get placed across different, specializations in the program as well. So yeah, that's a brief about the program. I'm sure I think we're flooding with questions, so I will also move on to that so that we try and answer a couple of these questions, if that's fine. Ashfaq, if you want to add
absolutely. I'll be more than happy.
Great. Okay, so I'll start. So Vivek asks, is the certificate same as what a full-time student gets from IMT Ghaziabad? Is this course industry recognized? Can I be considered as IMT Ghaziabad alumni after doing this course? So Vivek, to answer your third question first, which is yes, you will be considered an IMT Ghaziabad alumni after the end of the course. Yes, this is a recognized PGP certificate that you get from IMT Ghaziabad. The only difference that it will have from a normal program to this particular program is it will clearly mention that this is an IMT Ghaziabad PGP certificate in association with upGrad's. So that will come out very clearly in your certificate. So that's basically, if I've answered your question, yes, you do get an IMT Ghaziabad alumni status. And I've talked about the certification also that you get at the end of the program.
I think one more part of his question was, will the industry recognize it? I think if you're getting a job, I think the job is coming in the industry only. And I'm sure you would not like to be going through the course and then probably joining some Chintu Pintu types company. And if it is like that, then take the money, then go to Anandita and take the money back guarantee in my mind, right? So I'm sure, it comes up with those placements. And I just want to probably add one point here. Believe me, my first job, my institute got me. I have no qualms in making that statement, and that got me into ICICI Bank. From ICICI Bank to GE was probably nothing to do with the college. It was what I did with ICICI Bank. और अगर आपको कोई भी जॉब दिलाता है, whether the college दिलाता है या खुद मिलती है, the second job, the third job is what you have done with that job. And if you do a fabulous job, the world opens for you. If you don't do a great job, even if you are from IIM Ahmedabad, they'll say, "Us college ka bhi naam kharab kar raha," kind of a thing, right? So it is not about just education. It's about after you've landed up into a job, and now since it's a job placement linked program that IMT and upGrad has to offer for heck of discussion, which means तो आपका job तो पहला पक्का हो गया. Now second job is not a function of कि तुम्हारे डिग्री कौन से साल में हुई थी, उधर प्रोफेसर कौन था, वहां पर कितने क्लासेस का ये लेक्चर होता था. Nothing doing. It's all about what have you done with this job. So theoretically, if you get a job in, let's say, a Motilal Oswal, what have you done in Motilal Oswal will determine whether you will get a job in the Access Mutual Fund as a second job or in the ICICI Mutual Fund. That's how it's going to work. It's not going to work on anything else. All right. Yes, if you have come from a good institute, which here is IMT Ghaziabad, it adds a lot of value addition to the scene.
Yeah, and that flows into our next question also, Ashfaq, where Millie asks what to do to fill gap between previous job position and current job position. I think we were on the same track of answering that question, I guess.
No, but
you would have already answered that question.
No, but I'll still help her if she's already working. So I'm presuming, I'm sorry, I missed the name. What is the name you said? Millie, if you are working and you're saying that, hey, look, I'm already doing something and there is a skill gap, I have to get into the next level. So all you're talking about is filling a functional skill. So for sake of discussion, I don't know your background, but theoretically, if you're a sales and marketing professional and you feel you're getting stuck up, you don't want to get onto the road, then probably you need to pick up maybe a digital marketing certification program or something like that, which will help address your immediate requirement, which is कि ये skill मेरे पास नहीं है. Like मैं आपको अपनी example बता रहा हूँ, बोलना नहीं चाहिए, but since it's always for learning purposes, I think I've been running as an entrepreneur for probably 8-9 years, but I can tell you honestly, I just move up when it comes to finance. मुझे अभी भी taxation ढंग से समझ में नहीं आता है. But I keep on saying यार मैंने तो HR कर लिया, मेरे को क्या करना था इसका taxation का, if you have to fulfill these GST forms, no, by God, you'll go mad kind of a thing. So, but you don't have a choice. If you've got into what you've got into now by choice, you've got to build your skill set. So I think I would give you back to Anandita, go to upGrad website, check all this, short-term certification programs. They will add that skill set to yourself, number one. But if you have not done a core program, let's say you are a graduate and now you are adding one certificate plus another certificate plus another 3 months here plus another 2 months here, beta pehle core education ko strengthen karo, right? I keep on giving this example. My great grandfather was probably the first metric pass of Kashmir. By the way, I'm from Kashmir. बहुत बड़ी चीज थी. But if I tell today, "Ara, मैं metric pass हूँ," you'll all laugh at me. अरे बस इतना ही क्या kind of a thing, right? Then probably came a zone where I'm a graduate. Graduate sounded something like that, something great. And I can give you examples. People used to do double graduation. मैंने graduation किया literature में, now I'm doing graduation in something else additionally. If I tell you कि कोई बात नहीं यार, अगर तेरा BCom अच्छा नहीं हुआ तो एक काम कर ले, BBA कर ले अभी, you'd say किस पागल को लेकर आए ये लोग यहाँ पर, right? So now the world is changing, and if you ask me today, what, I'm a graduate, and I'm a graduate. If you're going to keep on saying that, I'll say, "Haan, to kya hai yaar? And what is the big deal about it?" So, in my mind, first fundamental thing that you have to get onto your mind is add a PG to yourself. Whether that PG is MBA, it is MTech, it is probably something else. That is not the discussion point right now. Add a PG, because I think with more and more education, the ROI of your own life will improve. Forget the ROI of a course. All right. So there's no shortcut to that. That's point number one. Coming back to you, Millie, अगर आप current job से upgrade करना चाहते हो, then probably you can take a short-term certification. But if you're really not done your management program, find the time to get it done. Find time to get it done, because that will make a fundamental dent in your career for long. I mean, it's going to be a big career move. So it's not about whether I should pick up the chota sa certification. It's actually you're investing in your career, and probably COVID-19 is the right time to invest in your careers. Believe me. I mean, I really have no qualms in making that statement. Okay.
Yeah, beautifully answered. I think I had very similar experiences, because I started my career with investment banking, and then I started up my own company, and I realized that these are very, very different things. And I did know nothing about, I knew nothing about starting your own company and figuring out every little bit of it. The bad part is, at that point in time, the only way for me to learn was through different YouTube videos and blogs and books and all of that. The good part is, today a lot of hard work that somebody else has done for you. A lot of the people who are specifically in the business of online education have curated that content for you and told you, like, if you go through this video series of 30 hours, you should be able to gain expertise in this field. So I think that's something that you can also explore, Millie. Given that we are running out on time, I will just take one more question so that, and then we can possibly wrap this up. For everyone whose questions could not get answered, what we will do is drop your email IDs, phone numbers. We will roll out a form, and we will get back in touch with you in the next 30-40 minutes and try to answer those questions for you. So Ankit has a question and on how can we accept aptitude in placement if still most of the school and colleges in India use traditional education system. Most of the parents are just focusing on marks. I think this is also coming from a place of pain on concentrating on marks and aptitude and all of that. I will just start by answering that question, and Ashwag, if you can also add in your 2 cents on this one. So the good thing, and I will tie it back to the program because that's why we are here today, is specifically for this program, we do take a small aptitude test, but the larger focus is on the psychometric aspect of things. For anyone to succeed in a career, in a management career, I don't, and none of us believe here that you need to be, do mental maths in 2 seconds and all of that. We need to know what you're good at, what are your strengths, and how to capitalize on that. So the way the selection procedure specifically for this route of the program is lot more focused on psychometric assessment and interview that happens where we get to know you. That's the entire agenda of that interview, and not just reject you on the basis of you were having a bad day, you did a bad multiplication. So that's one thing that will come out of this. And I increasingly believe that the industry is changing. They are realizing that people who are good at their core strengths can perform better is what they prefer. It will take some time for the industry to change. But yeah, I mean, we are doing our bit in trying to, make that change happen. Ashwag, specifically from an industry standpoint, what views do you have?
So I have a very beautiful news. Ankit मेरे जैसा लड़का लगता है कि number कुछ खास आते नहीं इसके kind of a thing. So Ankit, the good news is don't get bogged down. Yes, try to get 60% and above. I have 2 daughters. I keep on telling them, number के पीछे मत लगो, excellence के पीछे लगो. Suddenly I'm becoming like Amit Khan of that movie, right? So in my mind, I can give you my personal experiences. If I have a child who is in front of me getting 95% marks, my level of questioning changes. I mean, now I'm telling you some very trade secrets of these HR guys, because there are 95% marks and 99% marks. And I met a candidate a couple of days back for the first time, 10 out of 10 CGPA. By God, too much of that kind of a thing. And when I interacted with her, it looks like usko accept, the books. She has no clue what's happening on this planet Earth. So if you ask her what are the golden rules of accounting, she probably knows it. But if you tell her what is difference between a cooperative bank and a nationalized bank and probably a multinational bank, she says, sir, by the way, they're all banks. I said, of course they're best, but there must be some difference. Itne naam kyun rakh diye fir hum logon ne suddenly? So that is one side of it. Now, if Ankit, you're somebody जो पढ़ाई में उतना खतरनाक नहीं है, let me tell you, हमारे पास 5 उंगलियां हैं, and God has made 5, and all 5 of them are required. Okay, so if somebody is good in education, which is good for him. If somebody is not good in education, is good in something else. Now I keep on giving this example, and maybe you'll understand it this way. Presume करते हैं कि Mahendra Singh Dhoni is my favorite cricketer. Of course, Virat Kohli is kind of taking up that position very fast. Let's say Virat Kohli, because all of you are youngsters, so we'll go with Virat Kohli. Let's presume I have a team of 11 Virat Kohlis, which means the best cricketer. 11 के 11 Virat Kohli है. हम मैच जीतेंगे कि हारेंगे? I mean, I really want to know the answer of this question. So I'm sure many of you will say कि जीतेंगे, but actually नहीं जीतेंगे, because wicket keeping कौन करेगा, slow ball कौन डालेगा, फास्ट कौन डालेगा, स्पिन कौन डालेगा, एग्रेसिव बैटिंग कौन करेगा, द्रविड़ की तरह पड़े कौन रहेगा पिच के पास. You need this diversity in a cricket team. Imagine the diversity that we need in corporate world. We need people of all walks. So if you're a guy just half of the time, and sorry for my choice of words because I want to keep it very light, if most of the time you're doing you're outside going after that the other gender, don't worry, you know the market very well. You're good for sales and marketing probably. And जो पढ़ा को बच्चा है ना, कमरे के बाहर कभी नहीं निकला, he's probably good for these analytical roles. उसको कंप्यूटर के सामने बिठा दो, करता रहेगा काम अपना. So from an HR point of view, we always figure out the right fit for the right child. That's our game. Our game is not to say who's good or bad, but of course, now if you show that I have talent in X, demonstrate that on a consistent basis, and that's the message I want to give you. All right.
Thank you so much, Ashfaq. Ankit, I hope that answers your question on specifically when it comes to hiring, how the thought process works out. Sorry guys, we could not take everybody's question, and we'll try to get back to you and answer most of them. I will just wrap up by thanking Ashfaq for joining us today in this session. And very, very quickly talk about the 5 things that the program has gotten to you. The 5 key points of this 18-month-long job-linked management program with PGP from IMT Ghaziabad. One, obviously that it's job-linked. You have a money-back guarantee associated with the fact that we can help you succeed, help you get a job. You have an internship, which is 7-month-long built into the program. So you earn during the course of these 18 months. You get a PGP from IMT Ghaziabad, which is one of the most reputed B schools in India. You get an alumni status from IMT Ghaziabad at the end of the program. We put you in specializations basis your strengths. So we understand what you're good at basis a series of psychometric assessments and some interviews that we conduct with you, and then we put you there. And specifically, the curriculum is very, very new age. So it definitely talks about all the core management fundas, which is 20 to 30% of the overall curriculum, but it's a lot more experiential in terms of the diversity of content, specifically focusing on employability that the program focuses on. And of course, last but not the least, at the end of the day, we are so confident about getting you a job at the end of the program if you've successfully completed all parts of it, that there's a very, very strong money back guarantee associated with it. So that's the program. There is a selection process. You need to appear for a test. You need to go through an interview. And once you receive your offer letter, you can start with the program. The first batch launches on 1st of June. So if you have very little time to contemplate, understand, talk to your parents, talk to your friends, everybody that you want to, get in touch with us. We have a lot of academic counselors inside upGrad who can help you through all these questions. I saw a lot of questions pertaining to the program that we could not take up, but I'm sure the academic counselors will help you through it. So yeah, that's about it specifically from the program launch standpoint. Any closing notes, Ashfaq?
I just want to tell everybody that these are good times while we are sitting at home. Make most productive use of this time. And I think education is the only thing that you should think at this time, because jitna aaj aap mehnat karoge, the output of that will come to you in due course of time. So stay home, stay safe, take care of your families, but do educate yourself. Consider these options that you have, and make a wise choice. God bless you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You take care.
Thank you.